All right, so we'll wait 2 more minutes for the others. So sorry for that one. I wasn't able to monitor the time anymore. So kala ko 10 minutes pa. Pero ubos na pala yung oras. So while waiting for the others, so just ask a question or clarification kung papaano siya naging ganon, kung saan ka man naguguluhan. Anyone? Modus ponens. Balikat na natin yan. Yeah, actually here in modus ponens, so regardless of the value of your hypothesis, Q must be always true. Okay. So do not take it literally again. Kung ano yung symbol ng conclusion natin, then copy as it is. Okay. Because it is already proven to be true. Okay. So the only time that you will make changes is in modus tollens. And in modus tollens, our another hypothesis is talking about the conclusion, wherein we are saying that this conclusion is actually false. So we have to negate the hypothesis also. The same with this one. So conclusion is proven to be false, so we have to negate the hypothesis also. But for the modus ponens, so regardless of the hypothesis on our hypothesis, so it could be true or false, nothing will change on our conclusion. So it will stay as it is. So if we have here negated Q, then copy as it is. We have here also negated. So that is why in here, regardless of the assumption, okay, on our hypothesis, our conclusion should be always true. So just copy as it is. Okay, so negated Q. And then from here, we have proven that Q is actually false, then P must be true to make the entire statement true. Did you guys get this one already or not yet? So please let me know so that we can have a progress. And also so I can explain the part, or so I can clarify the part that you're having a hard time in understanding.
Gets na, sir.
Okay na, sir.
Right? How about the others?
Okay na po, sir.
Okay. Good for you, Mr. Lucero. Mr. Tanikala?
Gets na, sir.
Miss Garcia? Alright, so I guess, naalala ko, si Miss Garcia at hindi ko maganing mic. Anyway, so Mr. Kabuwag?
Medyo nagagets na, sir.
Okay, Miss Daniela Tandok?
Sir, medyo nagigets.
Okay, Mr. Gangas? Wala akong narinig. Anyway, so Mr. Basera?
Medyo nagigets na po, sir.
Mr. Espadilla?
Medyo, sir.
Mr. Paran? medyo nagigets na din po, sir. And sino pa pwede ko natawag? Agustin? Mr. Agustin?
Okay na, sir.
Alright. So, yun. Okay na. Confident
Pero
siya.
ako pa, di mo ko tinawag.
Miss Akligen, tatawagin pa lang kita. Parating pa lang tayo dyan.
Sir, nagigets na po.
Nagets na. Okay. So, dalawa na yung nakakagets. And sino pa ba? Miss Ginoran.
Medyo po.
Medyo. Okay. So, ina-assume ko, hindi ko ina-assume, sigurado talaga ako, lahat ng mga nagsabi ng medyo, nagigets, hindi nyo talaga nagets. Maybe for this second step, okay, nagets nyo to, pero for sure dito, naguguluhan kayo. Okay? Kasi taliwas siya sa truth table kung i-evaluate nyo. Pero, anyway, malalaman nyo rin yan soon. Okay? Kaya nga sinasabi ko kanina pa ulit-ulit, lahat ng hypothesis natin, true yan lahat. Okay? Ang lahat ng values nila is already true. Okay? Do not take it literally na negated yung value nito initially. Okay? Since nasa hypothesis siya, true na siya palagi. Okay? Anyway, so let's have more examples para siguro mas maintindihan nyo. Okay. So, let's have this one. So, P and P conditional Q and Q conditional R and R conditional S is equal to S. So we have to prove that those hypotheses are really equal to S. Okay? So here's our solution. So again, hanap kayo ng mga format or statement natin na pwede natin i-deduce. Like for example, this one. So by applying hyposyllogism, so P conditional Q, Q conditional R. So fit na fit siya, same na same pa yung variable natin. Okay? So pag ganito, so you can just simply jump to P conditional R. Okay? So dito, wala na kayong problemahin. You do not prove this one using a truth table kasi hindi naman siya yung buong statement natin. Okay? Kapag ipoprove mo to gamit ang truth table, so walang mangyayari. So dito, you'll just simply apply the things that you have learned from, our rules of inference. Like for example, this one, hyposyllogism. Okay, so if we have this format, then we can just get the first variable and then the last variable, which is R. So P conditional R. So nagets nyo to? Hello guys.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
Are we
sir. Nagets.
Yes,
Yes,
naman.
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, that's good. So from here, we also have this one, R conditional S. So just simply put that one on the right side para magka-align sila. So as you can see right here, P conditional R, R conditional S. So fit na fit ulit siya dito sa hyposyllogism natin. So we could just simply say that this one is equal to P conditional S. Gets?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Alright.
yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
Sige.
sir.
Balik tayo dito Mamaya, hindi na naman intindihan. Okay, so from here, P conditional S and then just copy this one here para magka-align sila. So P conditional S and then we have proven that this P is already true. So actually, kapag nagdi-deal tayo dito sa hypothesis ng conditional, so regardless of the result, so kahit negated P pa to, S pa rin yung magiging result natin. Okay? Kasi kapag hypothesis, and then ganito yung format, kung ano man yung value ng conclusion natin, yun na yun. So just copy as it is, which is letter S. Okay? Gets?
Yes, sir.
Gets na gets, sir.
Okay. So clear tayo dito Next one, number 3. So prove that P conditional R, R conditional S, X or not S, and U or not X and not U is equal to not P. Okay? So isa-isahin ulit natin. So dito, kung papansinin nyo, hindi na siya pare-parehas ng arrangement. Okay? So dito, pinagtabi niya na yung U or not X saka not U natin kasi ito yung related sa isa't isa. So ito muna isi-simplify natin. So the same with this one. So pinagtabi niya rin to kasi ito yung may dalawang S. And then the same with this one, pinagtabi niya rin to in a way that this R is related with this R also. So first, dito muna tayo sa pinakataas. So U or not X, and then assuming that this one is already true. Okay, so again, take note, true na tong U, true na rin tong not X. And then we have proven that this U is not actually true. So false pala tong U natin. So dapat para maging true tong statement na to, okay, ito, dapat true yung not X natin kasi na-prove na false ito. So dapat true ito. So just copy as it is, which is not X. Did you guys get this one?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So again, do not take it literally, okay? Kasi lahat ng hypothesis natin dito, lahat yan proven na true sila. Lahat yan, ang true value sila is true. Truth values rather. Okay. So next one, we have here not X and then X or not S. So dito muna kayo, basahin nyo muna to. So knowing that X is true, not S is also true. But then we have another hypothesis which is saying that this X is actually false. So to make this statement true, then not S should be true. So just copy this one as it is. Okay? Which is now this one. Gets?
Gets, sir.
Okay. So I hope sa mga ibang hindi sumasagot, nakakasunod kayo. Okay. And then we have here not S and then R conditional S. So again, pwede nyo munang basahin muna dito. So assuming that R is already true and then S is also already true. And then we found out that our S is not actually true, which is now making this one false. So again, if our conclusion is false, then this one is modus tollens rather. So if it's tollens, the one that we are changing is the conclusion. So kapag false yung conclusion natin, just negate, okay? Just negate the hypothesis. So that is why from positive R it became negated R. Okay? Did you guys get this one or no?
Good, sir.
So balikan nyo lang yung modus tollens natin para ma-refer nyo kung tama ba to or hindi. Then the next one, so again, you can read this one as, let's say, P conditional true, R is also true. So lahat to true. And then na-prove natin dito, another hypothesis came out na R is actually false. So if this is the case, so we are now dealing with the conclusion, this one is modus tollens. And if it's modus tollens, then we have to negate the hypothesis to make the entire statement true. So that is why the value here now is negated, which is now this one. Okay, so ito yung mga steps na ginawa natin. So first step is OR elimination. Second step is also OR elimination. Third is modus tollens. And then fourth is also modus tollens. So that's, or those are the steps on how we've come up with this negated. Okay? So, sino na nakagets?
Sir, nagets po.
Okay, how about the others?
Gets na rin, sir.
Okay, dalawa. Sino pa?
Gets na po, sir.
Tatlo. Kanina pa
Okay na
to.
po, sir.
Okay, apat. Okay. So,
Nagets na po, sir.
5. Okay, so good thing na dumadami kayo. Okay, kasi kanina 3 lang yung bilang ko eh. Lahat kayo puro medyo. Alright. So, that's it for number 3. I mean, examples rather. Examples of inference. So, after those examples, you're going to have meron pa palang isa. Okay, pero hindi. Sorry. So, kasi break na pala to, kasama na pala to sa break nyo. So 4, 5, and then number 6. Okay. So 1 to 3 is your examples, and then 4, 5, 6 will be your state work for this topic. Okay. So again, do this one using a handwritten, pero make sure na legible or readable rather. So write legibly, and dapat clear yung picture nyo. So hindi lang dapat maganda yung sulat, dapat clear din yung picture nyo. Okay? And then, paste it. So you can paste it to your Microsoft Word, and then yun na yung isasubmit nyo sa Canvas. Okay? So tatlong number lang naman. So ito, na-form na siya into inference form. Ito, expression pa lang. So balikan nyo yung conjunction natin, saka ano pa ba? Yung inference form natin para ma-form nyo to into inference format. Okay, so the same with number 6. Right? So all you need to do is prove that those hypotheses is really equal with this conclusion. And then all of those hypotheses is really equal with this negated R. And then all of those hypotheses is really equal with this negated P. Right? Any questions so far?
Answer.
None, sir.
None.
All right. Okay. Next one is Modus Badus. Okay. This is also part of inference, inferencing rule, but for some reason this was proven to not to be a tautology. And if it's not a tautology, we call this one Modus Badus. Okay. Like for example, this one. So using inferencing rule, so we've come up with this letter P. Okay. But in this case or in this scenario, if we're going to prove this one using a truth table, this one is actually not a tautology. So that is why we call this one Modus Badus. So same application, you can apply the inferencing rule. So no changes on that one. It's just that if you're going to prove this one using a truth table, this one is not actually a tautology. Okay. Which is now called Modus Badus. So I'll leave the analyzation part into you guys. So yan, dito naman tayo nanggaling tayo dito, and then ito, and then proven to be false. So this one is not a valid, which is now called Modus Badus. Alright, kasi sabi natin sa inferencing format, kung ano man yung pinaka-final result, dapat true siya sa lahat ng possible combinations or possible outcomes. Wherein in here, okay, meron isang false. So it is a fallacy of affirming the conclusion. So we have here another example, okay, which is this expression or inference format, wherein if you're going to evaluate this one is actually also a modus badus, because we have another truth table or truth values rather, which is false. Okay. So don't worry, you don't need to evaluate this one, whether this one is really inferencing or correct inference format, like tautology talaga siya, or modus badus. So all you need to do is simplify this one, okay, or prove this one that these hypotheses are equal with this conclusion. Right? So clear ba tayo dito sa modus badus? Oops, parang napagbaliktad ko. So iwanan ko na rin yung analysis part sa inyo dito. Okay? Ayun. So kitang-kita naman pala. Okay, like for example, this one. In our inferencing rule, okay, so P conditional Q, and then we have proven that P is actually false. So supposedly, you will just copy this one as it is. Okay? Q lang dapat to, hindi negated Q. And since ginawa niyang negated Q, okay, which is like, not following the correct rules for the inferencing, so that is why we've come up with false result on this one. Okay, so in this case, modus badus or mali yung ginawang solution. Alright? Any question or clarification so far regarding with modus badus? Hello? Are you guys
Medyo
still
lang
there?
nalilito.
So sa Modus Badus, mali lang yung ginamang format. Okay? Or mali lang yung itong format ng inference niya. Okay? Wherein, if you're going to prove this one using a truth table, okay, meron kayong false na result sa truth table. Kasi sa lahat ng mga example natin kanina, ito, if ever that you're going to verify this one using a truth table, for sure, this one is a tautology. Okay? So what we mean by tautology, again, lahat ng results natin on all possible combinations, they are all true. Okay? But for Modus Badus, okay, we have here a false truth value. Okay. So this will only be asked if ever that you're going to evaluate such expression or an expression. Okay? And then at the same time, mali din yung ginawang rules na ginamit dito. Okay, so that is why they've come up with a false result. Okay, so mali ito, mali ito, mali din ito. Okay. Alright, so next one is mathematical induction. So this one is a method of proving a formula wherein parang kulang. Method of proving a formula. So, i-recheck ko to, okay? Baka hindi ko nalagay yung definition. So, supposedly yata may lalagay akong definition. Anyway, so when we see induction, it is a way of proving such expressions. Let's say 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6. And then in that expression, you can see that that one is increasing by 1. So, we have to make a formula wherein this one is really increasing by 1. Okay? So we call that one mathematical induction. Okay? So here are the principles for mathematical induction. So step 1, so the basic step, statement S1 is true. So here we are assuming that assumption wherein it's increasing by 1 is true. Okay? So in here, we have another step which is called inductive step. Okay? So if S is 1 is true for all I, which is less than n plus 1, then S times n plus 1 is true. Okay? So never mind those equations for now. We'll have a proper example for this one later on. Okay? So let's have this example para mas maintindihan nyo. So like what I'm saying a while ago, we have here an expression 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 and so on and so forth. So kahit hanggang plus 100 pa yan. So that is why we called here or we put here plus n. Okay? So we have to prove that this left expression, ito 1 plus 2 plus 3 hanggang plus n is equal, okay, to this inductive formula, okay, or this form formula which is n times n plus 1 divided by 2. Okay? So the first step that you need to do is replace this letter n into equal to 1 or equal to 1. Okay? So kunin mo tong left side, okay, ng may letter n, which is now this 1. And then kunin nyo yung nasa right side. Okay? Wherein this is the one that we're going to prove that this formula is really equal with this left side expression. So copy nyo lang yon and then ito na yon. Okay? The next, replace letter n to 1. So your n became 1, n became 1, n became 1. And then simplify. Oops. Simplify. So yung nasa loob muna ng parenthesis. So 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. And then 2 times 1 is 2. Okay? And then 2 divided by 2 is equal to 1. So from here, we could say that this expression or this formula is equal with this expression. Okay? Kasi 1 is equal to 1, which is 2. Okay? So never mind kung ano yung mga formulas natin sa right kasi given na to. Okay? So all we need to do in inductive mathematics is we have to prove that this one is really equal on the left side. And then the first step that you need to do is make n equal to 1. okay, or replace n equal to 1. And then if ever the left side value is equal to the right side value, then we can now proceed to second step. Okay. So dapat dito pa lang sa step number 1, true na siya. Kasi kapag hindi, then meaning this formula is not equal with our left side expression. Okay. So step number 2. Okay. So we have to show that this one is equal. Oops, where's that one? Yeah. This one is equal with this one by applying or by changing the n into n plus 1. So before in step number 1, we've just replaced the n into 1. But right now, we're going to make it more flexible. Okay? Para talagang ma-prove natin na equal talaga tong right side natin sa left side. So this is like a flexible verification. Okay? So instead of 1 only, we'll make it n plus 1. Okay? So copy nyo lang yung nasa left side. I mean, di na pala kailangan. Okay. So ito lang, nasa right side. So make n into n plus 1. So n became n plus 1, n became n plus 1. And then simplify. Right? So n plus 1, and then n plus 2 divided by 2. Nakasunod kayo so far? Hanggang dito?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So again, what we're trying to do here is we have to prove that this right side is equal to your left side. So first step, make n equal to 1 and then verify whether they are really equal. And then step number 2 is make n into n plus 1 and then simplify and then come up with this kind of expression. And then step number 3, okay? So yung na-form nyo na formula, okay, na ito n plus 1 times n plus 2 divided by 2. So you have to show that this one is equal with your right side equation. Okay? So ito yung right side equation natin. Okay, para hindi kayo malito, dito muna kayo sa original. Huwag nyo muna titignan yung iba. So equal dapat siya dito sa right side if we added, okay, plus n plus 1 here. Okay? So that is why we now have this kind of expression. N times n plus 1 divided by 2 plus n plus 1. So if you do this on the right side, you have to do this one on the left side also para masabi natin we didn't change anything. Okay? So from here, mag-focus na lang kayo sa right side. We have to show that this one, this expression is equal with this expression. Okay? N plus 1 times n plus 2 divided by 2. Okay? So simplify this one. So n times n plus 1 plus 2 times n plus 1 divided by 2. So, apply basic algebra. Okay? So, kung hindi mo na-gets kung paano naging ganito ito, okay, then you have to go back with your algebra, okay? Hanapin mo yung notes mo kung paano sila nag-combine. Right? Pero kung sakaling hindi mo talaga mag-gets, so okay, sige. Anong papaliwanag? So, from here, multiply this denominator on the right side. So times 2 and then divided by times 2 also. So in that case, parang wala tayong binago. Okay, so parang times 1 pa rin siya. And then from here, we have a denominator of 1. Okay, so multiply mo naman yung 1 dito sa left side, which is n times n plus 1, divided by 1 also. So in that case, parang wala din tayong binago. So just do the math. And then, multiply both sides. Sa denominator muna tayo, multiply both sides by their denominator. So, 2 times 1 is 2, which is now this one. And then, multiply nyo yung corresponding denominators ng mga expressions natin. So, dito, divided by 1. So, dito, 1 times divided by 1. So, parang walang nagbago. Ganun pa rin since times 1 naman siya. So, that is why we now have this one, n times n plus 1. And then on the right side, so 2 divided by 2 or times 2 dito sa n plus 1 natin, okay, which is now this one, 2 times n plus 1. Okay, so that's how we've come up with this one. And the next thing is, hindi ko na kasi pinakita. So just simplify this one a little bit more. So n squared plus n plus 2n plus 2 kung sakaling i-distribute mo. Okay, and then simplify it more, you'll come up with n squared plus 3n plus 2. Right? And then using that expression, so we can come up now with this kind of another expression. So ito yung expanded version neto. So pag dinistribute mo to, n squared plus n2 plus n plus 2, same lang siya dito. Okay? So we now have here the n plus 1 times n plus 2 divided by 2, which is now the same with this one. So that's mathematical induction, proving that this right expression is really equal with this left expression. Medyo nagets nyo ba? Or saan na magulo? For sure dito, sa last 2 steps natin. Any feedback? Kailangan ko ng inyong feedback para alam ko ang aking gagawin.
Sir, pa-repeat po doon sa may last 2 steps.
Last 2
Kung bakit
steps.
nawala yung plus 2, sir. Ay, 2. Ay, sir. Plus tapos yun.
Kung paano naging ganito.
Sir, paano naging ganun yung result, sir, sa baba?
Dito sa baba.
Yes, sir. Paano naging ganyan, sir?
Teka lang. Sige. Snipping tool tayo. Right. So from here, block na lang ako. Ayan. Alright, so paano tayo nag-come up with this kind of expression from, dapat pala sinama ko yun. Right, so there you go. So paano tayo nag-come up from this expression into this expression? So first, kailangan mo muna ang pag-combine itong dalawa. So how do we combine those two? So we have here n times n plus 1 plus n plus 1 divided by 2. Okay, so whatever is the denominator of this one, multiply here on this expression. So times 2 divided by 2. Okay, so mumultiply mo siya sa numerator, mumultiply mo rin siya sa denominator. So parang wala tayong binago, you can just simply cancel this one out. The same on the right side. So ang denominator naman nito is 1. Okay, hindi lang natin kita pero 1 yan. So multiply din natin siya dito sa left side expression. So times 1 divided by 1. Okay, so from here parang wala din tayong binago. So you can just simply cancel this one out. So next, so i-combine na natin or i-multiply na natin ngayon yung nasa taas. Okay. So 1 times n plus 1. So walang magbabago kasi times 1 naman siya. So you can just copy that one as it is. N times n plus 1. And then plus. Okay. So multiply din naman natin sa taas. So 2 times n plus 1. So ito na yun. 2 times n plus 1. And then for the denominator, so you can now disregard this one or you can now disregard their denominators and just simply multiply their denominators. Yung mga denominators na kinuha natin kanina. So 1 times 2 is 2. So that's how we've combined those two expression into this one. Gets?
Yes, sir. Gets.
Okay. Sinong hindi nakagets? Right, so I guess none. And then from here, you can now simplify this one by distributing the variables. So n times n is n squared plus n plus 2 times n is 2n plus 2 divided by 2. Okay? And then from here, you can actually come up with this kind of expression by doing the reverse. Ito kasi expanded version. Okay? So kung isi-simplify mo to, n squared plus 3n plus 2 divided by n. And then if you're going to take a look on this one is actually equal with this upper expression. So n plus 1 times n plus 2. So para ma-prove natin na equal talaga siya dito, so just multiply this one using FOIL method. So n squared plus 2n plus n plus 2. Tama? Which is now equal to n squared plus 3n plus 2. Okay, which is now this one. Oops. 2 to 2. Yeah. Nakasunod?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
We have now proven, oops,